What's the deal with women wanting to date men who are mysterious? Hi there, men's dating coach Harry Wilmington here, founder of IntrovertDatingSuccess.com. And today, you're going to learn 17 reasons why women find mysterious men more desirable and what things you can do to grow her interest quicker by being more elusive. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon to be notified of new videos. Also, go to the website to watch my free video training, How to Get Attractive, Feminine, Emotionally Stable Women Dying to Respond to Your First Messages on Dating Apps Without Using Sleazy Pickup Lines. And now, let's check out that clip. Let's see, 17 reasons why mysterious people are more attractive. So in this, she says, we all fall in love with people who we hope or think will complete us and make us happy. Then we start dating and see that that isn't the case, so we go on searching for a new person. So this is true. It's like that whole thing of like, once you get them, you know, they become old news, and that can happen a lot quicker if you're a person that is giving up the story on your entire life and spewing everything out. However, sometimes there are those people that we can never get to know completely, and therefore we can't move on to the next person that easily, because the state of being in love also doesn't end that easily. Now, why is that? Women in general are very, what's what I want to say? Like, they're very much about finding things out. Like, think about why soap operas work so well. Think about why these trashy shows work so well. They have an hour's worth of drama, and then just as it's about to end, something happens, and then they cut to black. And you have to figure out what the thing, either the thing that happened or the result of the thing that happened at the end of the show on the next show. And this is why shows like the Kardashians and like these shows that are like these so-called reality shows last for so long, because at the end of every episode, it's like, oh, wait, they said what? Cut to black. And then the women are like, oh my God, like, I know what happens next. So yeah, so there's something to say that it's hard to move on from somebody if there's still things about them that the woman's trying to find out, okay? And I know there are people that'll be like, well, you know, but what about those guys that are liars and cheaters and they're not telling me things because they're lying, this and that? You're not that guy, okay? You are legit a guy that knows you care for this woman and that you want to be with her and that you do feel these strong emotions for her. And that is very, very good, okay? What I want you to see is that these bad boys and jerks and guys that are really good with women in general understand the game, which is that you can be a nice, decent, good guy. But that does not mean having to give up every single thing about you in terms of what you're telling them or what they know about you. Because there's a level of that where if you keep a bit of mystery about you, then you're going to be able to keep women around longer, because they're going to want to keep coming back to you to figure out who you are, what you're about, what you like. You like this thing? Oh, you like this thing too? I didn't know that. Give women the pleasure of getting to know you on a long-term scale versus on a very short-term scale that can result in a relationship flame out. Continuing on, she says, here are the 17 traits of the mysterious type that make us stick around and keep looking for more. So the first one is they don't talk much about their day, what they have done, etc. And this makes you want to get to know them even more. And this is very true. Now, part of that is because as men, we're not typically the most wordy of people. So whereas a lot of times if you ask a woman, hey, how her day was, she'll want to mention like the basics of what happened, but it's very hard for them to do that because they have to first cycle through, okay, they don't necessarily always know what to us guys would be the most important or not important part. So they'll say like, oh, well, like say that the end of her day was like, you know, ultimately she had a meeting at 4:00. Okay. So she could just say, I had a meeting at 4:00. That was really important. But typically what they're going to do is explain a lot more, like, you know, oh, well, I got in this morning and then I had to meet up with Susie early in the day to discuss something we were going to be doing later. And so we had a discussion about this, blah, 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 blah. And then, so then Susie and I connected again at 3:30 to go into this meeting that happened at 4:00. So because they're very wordy, a lot of times they'll be looking at us and being like, well, okay, so how was your day? And they're expecting like this grandiose story. So if you give them the grandiose story, it could be exciting, it could be okay, but if you're less wordy, it makes them now have to ask you more questions, which means there now has to be a conversation that she has to partake in order to make you reveal more, which is actually what she wants, because women bond through conversation. So you just say, oh, my day was fine. Then they'll be like, oh, well, what'd you do? Oh, I met up with Bob today. Oh, really, Bob? Why'd you meet with Bob? Well, you know, Bob had his pickup truck and I needed to go there to check out the wheels because I'm thinking about getting those same wheels on my car. Oh, what kind of wheels were they? See this? She's asking questions. So because you're not blabbing on upon her first asking about your day, now it becomes a thing where you're not purposely being mysterious, but by not revealing so much, you are in effect being mysterious, because now she has to ask you these questions, which are going to make her mind think like, oh, if I'm asking him all these questions, I must genuinely care about how he's doing, what his day was like, because I must like this guy. Okay, so less typically for guys is more, and you'll see a lot of older guys that do this very, very well. Like a lot of old men that when they're married and you go to the house and the wife will be like, oh, he doesn't really say a whole lot. He's usually just in his garage, just hanging out, or he'll just be sitting there reading a book, being quiet. Yeah, because he's learned if he doesn't talk a lot, then that means that you can't mess up saying the wrong things, but also she's going to be coming to him. She's going to be wanting to start conversations and have to ask him questions to figure out what he's thinking and what he's about. And I've had so many women that I've been lying in bed with, and they'll just be like, hey, so like, what are you thinking? And it's like, why are they asking that? Well, because I'm not being a blabbermouth, and because I'm like, unless I have something to actually talk about, I don't feel the need to just be talking all the time for no reason. So that's a very, very good one. Like, they don't talk much about their day. Let women come to you and ask that stuff, and make sure that your answers that you're giving are going to make them want to ask further. Number 2, reading their minds is impossible, and that uncertainty sucks you in. Yes, because women, like I said, are all about like wanting to know what you're thinking. And the reason you'll have a woman ask you this is because it could vary from like, oh, he looks happy, I wonder what he's happy about, to, oh, he's being very, very silent but not saying anything. Could something be wrong? Is it something that I did? Like, what's going on? But the point is, they don't know your emotional mood when you're kind of not talking and not really espousing all your thoughts. So that sucks them in, because now it's like, I have to figure out how to be able to get these thoughts out of him. And when they're chasing you, they can't be replacing you. So if they're coming towards you, asking you what you're thinking, asking you questions about yourself or how your mind works, then that's going to keep them engaged with you a lot longer. Number 3, they build closer relationships with only a very few people, which makes you want to be one of them. Now, as an introvert, this is also very, very true, because you know that your circle of friends is probably very, very short and limited. You only allow a few people in because your energy typically only wants other positive energies, or wants whatever your energy is, you want similar energy as such, okay? And so that makes you a selective person. A big problem that a lot of guys have is that they'll just date anybody. Like any girl that shows them attraction, that comes into their circle, they are willing to just date. And ironically enough, that makes them less appealing to women, because if they're willing to date anybody, then they don't feel as special when he's talking to them. Versus if you're a person that's kind of like, I don't like every single person that I talk to be in my circle, now you look like a guy that is only selecting the cream of the crop, which means now she wants to be the cream of the crop. And she doesn't necessarily know what your criteria is for picking that, but because you do have a criteria, she's going to wonder what that criteria is to be able to get in your good graces, which means, ta-da, once again, you're being mysterious, and she's going to want to have to figure out what that thing is, what that puzzle is that I got to put together to get in this guy's good graces, which only benefits you, my friend. Number 4, you somehow sense that they are emotional people deep down, and you want them to open up to you. Now, this is a big one, because I know that there's this thing that people talk about where it's like, oh, they want men to be more emotional. And again, there's a level of that that's kind of true. The way that most guys take it is, okay, I need to just spout out like all these feelings that I have, and that way the girl will like me. But as I have found, and as other guys have found, when you do that, you don't exactly get the results that you want. Because ultimately, in terms of showing your emotions, women traditionally, showing their emotions in a big major way is typically more accepted than men. Should that be changed? Ideally, but it just is what it is for right now. So in the meantime, this does not mean you don't have emotions, but it means what I said. It says you sense that these women are sensing that you could be emotional, okay? And she wants to seek and find out what those emotions are, how they're triggered, which ones that you have and why. And the only way to do that is if you're not constantly showing them, to where she has to kind of be like, I wonder how he feels about this, or what would make him cry, or what would be this thing that would make him really like just be the happiest ever. And she's going to ask herself those questions, and she's going to now put herself on a mission to figure that out. Why? Because you're being mysterious and not just talking about your emotions all the time, okay? So yes, it's okay to be emotional, but in order to better attract women that are out there, try not announcing that to the world right away. Like, keep that stuff to yourself until they're coming to you asking these questions, all right? Number 5, The fact that they are able to build a wall between themselves and the world means that they are self-sufficient, which again makes them more attractive. And this is a very positive thing as an introvert, because by definition of being an introvert, you are good on your own. You like your alone time. You know how to entertain yourself. You know how to do things that are going to keep your life in a positive motion, okay? And what that means to a woman, more importantly, is that you are not going to be relying on her for your happiness. You are able to be self-sufficient enough to do the things that you need to do to ideally have a well-monitored emotional stability, which most women are looking for, because with their hormones and flying and times a month and stuff like that, their emotions can be all over the place, but they don't really want a guy whose emotions are going to be like this also, because then that ship can't really be well run. So the fact that you're able to differentiate between who you want around and who you don't, and what kind of energy you want and the energy that you don't, that makes you look like a guy that's self-sufficient. Women love self-sufficient men. So that's a positive thing, and it also makes you look mysterious, amazingly enough. Number 6, they live in their own world without caring about what's going on outside. And that's a strong thing for women to see from a guy, because many women, again, stereotypically, really care about what other people think. There are some women that get to the point where they don't, but that usually takes years and years and years. That's why you hear women be like, oh, so-and-so talked about me and I'm feeling some kind of way about them now, whatever. And that, again, that's acceptable from them. But from guys, we need to be the ones that are like, okay, if somebody says something about me, then we can talk about it. But if they're over there and I'm over here, it's kind of, it is what it is. Like, I'm good. Because showing that emotional stability will allow her to trust your emotions a lot more. Number 7, if you are very good looking or social, funny enough, they won't be interested in you. This annoys you and causes you to obsess over them. If we look good, then we won't be interested in them, because we already look good. We can get the cream of the crop, is what it is. And so this is going to annoy them. And as a result, it's going to cause them to obsess over us, because it's like women are used to being the ones that look really hot and are rejecting guys. So if you come along and you're a relatively decent looking guy and you're just kind of like, you can stay over there, that hits at her ego. Now it's like, oh crap, like, am I not pretty enough? Am I not good looking enough? Are there other women in his circle that look better than me? Like, I need to figure out that and then figure out how I can look my best for him, which now leads her to chasing. If you're a guy that's traditionally attractive, that's always a plus. But also if you're a guy that carries himself like you are the shiznit, and that you are in fact that guy that other women want, that posture alone will make her wonder, what is it about him that he thinks he's so hot? What's it about him that other women are finding so attractive? I need to know and get in that circle, because I want to be validated by being around him now, versus you trying to validate yourself by being around this hot chick. Because hot chicks come and go, and as they get older, they get less hot, and they know this. And so it's like you have the advantage if you are confident in your ability to attract women and confident in that the way you look can actually get women. Sometimes you want to hold them by the arm, shake them and shout, notice me already, but they will stay indifferent even if you do. And I talk about this on the show also, the importance of being indifferent, okay? The importance of being a guy that's not swayed by whether or not a woman's paying attention to you or giving you sex or taking you out. If you're just kind of that guy that's like, hey, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Then yeah, you're going to be that guy that most women want to go after, because most men don't have the emotional capacity to not like wow out and freak out and stuff like that. And so yeah, the more indifferent you are, the more it makes them become frustrated. Like, oh my God, like, why aren't you paying attention to me? Why aren't you responding to my texts? Why aren't you giving me calls back? Why haven't we been on a date in 4 days? All that's doing is making them give away their game. It's making them give away the fact that they actually like you and care about you enough to where it's like, I want you to do the same back, but I'm not quite getting the same reactions. Why aren't I getting the same reactions? And it's funny to be in a state where you can, if you get to the point as a guy where you can legit be turning down women for anything, whether it's for dates, whether it's for sex, whatever, the reactions that they give when they get rejected, oh my God, you thought your reaction was bad when you didn't get a date. Women are like 3 times as bad at like, well, okay, or is it me, or why is it like, what's going on? Or you'll have girls like try to darn near like hit you or smack you, like, no, what are you doing? Like, what's going? Like, it's insane. It's insane. But it's funny to get to that point, because once you see it, you're like, oh crap, like I really do have like more power than I thought I had as an introvert. This is amazing. Number 9, they like spending time alone, questioning and observing. They are mostly intellectual. So you see, women are aligning being alone and being a questioning, observing person with being intellectual. And for the good of future offspring, most women either want a guy that, is well built and like, physically looks like, oh, we'd have good kids together and he'd be able to take care of them as well, and they'd be fit. Or they want a guy that's smart that can be like, oh, our kids will be able to know how to make money, and they'll know how to navigate in the world, and they'll think of really awesome stuff to like be able to help the world be better. So yeah, so you being the guy, you trying to fight your introvert instincts and be an extrovert and be like, I got to be out there and talking all the time and do stuff. Well, now, A, you're not being who you are. And also you're looking like a guy that's very haphazard, is not cool, calm, and collected, and you don't look like a smart person. So use your introvertness to your advantage. Women think that you're smart because they don't see you a lot. The few times that they do see you, you're talking about stuff that is actually deep and worth talking about, and then you go away, and the only vision they have of you now is this guy that's smart and intelligent, but I don't see him all the time. Where did he go? I want to know where he's going. I want to go where he's at, and I want to talk to him more. So this works again in your favor. Number 10 is they don't care about what others do or say, therefore they also don't gossip. And women do not like their men talking about them, especially because they feel it's going to most likely be in a negative way. And this is unfortunately, a lot of couples do, is that, both the woman and the man will go to their respective friends when they're not around and be like, yeah, so, so-and-so, she does this and that, and she really aggravates me, and, oh, my husband this, he does this, and blah, 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 blah. And women in general don't like people talking about them, especially badly. So when their own spouse or significant other is doing it, like, that reflects badly on you, and it also reflects badly on her. It reflects badly on her because you're talking bad about her, but it reflects badly on you because people will look at you and be like, so you made a bad choice. So why are you complaining about the bad choice that you made in a person to date? So ideally, when you're talking about the person that you're with, you're talking about them in a positive light, in a ways that makes other people be like, oh man, you really picked a good person, and like, oh, they seem like a really nice person. And then when that person you're dating or in long-term whatever come around, then your friends are also seeing them in a positive light as well. Number 11, they are usually calm. They make decisions without getting into a flap, and they give solid advice. Now, some of you might hear that and think, okay, Harry, but like I'm a guy that's pretty calm, and women probably find that boring, and I'm not exciting enough versus these bad guys and jerks out here that are, causing havoc and doing things. There are traits to jerks and bad boys and players that women on a subconscious primal level find attractive. But those things that they're finding attractive are not the other things that they're doing, like treating them bad or hitting them or telling them they're nothing but a piece of crap or whatever. And so all these players, bad boys, jerks, etc., are very good at the front game. The front game is like the representative you show up with and say, hey, this is what I'm like and how I am. And they know the primal things to hit on in women that will get them drawn to them in those first couple of months. So once it goes long term, even if they start doing all this jerkish stuff or whatever, the woman still has in her body the feeling of what those first 3 months are like. And what they do then is spend their life trying to fight to get that back. So as a so-called introverted nice guy, you can do similar stuff that hits at women's primal urges and desires, but just don't be a jerk in the long term. When you're this kind of guy, you're calm. A lot of times, especially when women are going through their own turmoil where their emotions are all like this, they're looking at you like, how is this guy so calm? Like, we just had this whole thing happen over here, and he's just like calm. What is it about him that's able to do that? And just that part that they can't figure out, like how you're calm when they're like going all haywire, that is also its own mystery that she's gonna come to you, hey, so babe, like how, and I've had girls before where I've dated them and they think like initially, I just don't care. Like they're like, this thing's happening, how are you showing you don't care, blah, blah. And I'll tell them like, look, I do care. I feel the same way that you do about this, and I am upset, but I got to figure out a way to deal with this. So I can be all like this, but that doesn't help the situation. So if I want us to get out of the situation, I got to be more rational about how I think about this. I got to figure out, okay, I'm emotionally feeling this way, but then what's the way to stop feeling this emotion? You need to be the rock and the anchor in her storm. So if she's the boat on the wave going like this, you need to be the anchor that's like, hey, let's stop and think about this for a minute. Number 12, mysterious men, they are good observers. They easily understand what you mean with which action you choose to do or the words that you choose to say. Okay? So yeah, basically they feel understood by mysterious guys. They're taking time to really sit and observe what the person's saying and being like, okay, I get that. I understand that. Okay, this is good, whatever, this can be worked on, whatever. And so yeah, women need somebody to be able to do that, to like observe them, to observe their environment, to be able to figure out what's going on. And I think when women see that, their mind's like, how is he able to, figure out all this stuff? I've had women tell me like, I have a sarcastic sense of humor, and I've had women be like, how do you figure out how to say those words or those kind of jokes, or how do you make this observation over here and they connect it to this thing and they make it funny, or how do you know how to fix this certain thing just looking at it the first time? Again, the way that the male mind works and the way we're able to operate and do things in and of itself can very many times be a mystery to women, okay? So let that be a thing. Let that be a thing where it's like, oh, that's a little, thing I just kind of picked up. Like, that'll drive her crazy because she wants to know the exact details, and you might give it to her over time, but you make it like a game. You make it fun. You make it flirty. You make it a thing where you're having a longer conversation about it than necessary for you, because for her, it means that you guys are now bonding together. Number 13, lucky 13, mystery people. Even if you are together with such a person, you will never be the center of their lives. Their hobbies that they are passionate about are always more important, okay? And this is another thing where guys mess up, where they think, okay, I'm dating this girl, or I married this girl, she's now got to be the complete center of my life. I can't have any outside friends. I can't do any more hobbies anymore. And because women will complain about that, but these are the same things that you were doing when she met you that made her fall in love with you. And where guys make the mistake is they'll give up these things. They'll do things like, okay, she doesn't want me to play guitar anymore, so I'll stop playing guitar. She doesn't want me to do, go out for guys' nights anymore, so I'll stop doing guys' nights. She doesn't want me to do X, Y, and Z, so I'll stop X, Y, and Z. And then the person will come to them, hey, I'm not feeling this anymore, I want out. And you're like, but I did all this stuff for you. And what you forgot to realize is that some of that's testing. Like, women want their man to be their own man. And so sometimes they'll do these little things subconsciously to test to see if you're going to be able to stand up to her and be your own man. Because sometimes women need to feel that masculine strength. So they need to feel you saying, no, I'm going to do this thing and you can like it or not, but this is what I'm doing. They need to actually legit feel that. We don't have that need. We need to feel like femininity from them and kind and caring stuff, but they need to feel male strength. And sometimes that means they're going to do a few things here and there to push against you. And if you don't give a little pushback by standing up for yourself and saying, these are things that I do, so no, you're not going to be the center of my life today. I planned time to spend with these people over here. I had time set aside to do this work, and I'm doing those things. I will get back to you later. And we'll be like, oh, that feels so good. Even though they won't admit that to you, but they'll feel like, oh man, he's really being the man right now. All right, I like that. So be mindful that they want you to have hobbies. They don't want to be the person that is now the pure focal point of everything that you do in life. Number 14, they don't get angry easily. They know themselves and they don't have complexities. You being the one that's kind of a little bit more calmer, willing to think things out more, that's going to win you some huge points with women. Number 15, their ideas and opinions aren't ordinary. They help you see different points of view. Now, as an introvert, because you're alone a lot of the time, you have time to go on the internet, read things, study stuff, discover stuff, watch videos, be in your own world about particular hobbies that you like and really diving deep into it. And so you're going to have time to think about things from different perspectives than an extrovert, say, would, where they're constantly trying to get stimulation, so they don't always sit in their own moments to really think about the world and how things work and how things function, okay? But women like to hear those things, because if you have a woman's going to talk to 4 or 5 guys and they're all giving her the same opinion about this, what's going on in the world or about a TV show, and then she comes to you and you're like, well, I like this show, but have you ever thought about the show like this, where they do this thing and it actually means this thing over here? And the woman's like, I would have never thought of that. How would you think of that? And it's going to make her want it to explore your mind further. Because your opinion and how you come up with them is a very mysterious thing to her, especially when everybody else is spouting the same stuff, which gets boring after a while. Number 16, they are charismatic and cool, but they don't do anything specific to impress anybody. In other words, you are your own man. As an introvert, you are all about, I'm going to be who I am and like the things that I like, darn if anybody likes it or not, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to entertain myself more so than other people. So if you don't like it, tough crap, it is what it is. And that is a way of being that a lot of women admire and wish they could be, because women have been taught their whole lives oh, you got to look a certain way, you got to act a certain way. It's all about community. So you don't want to be too over women, you don't want to be too low below them. You want to kind of find that nice pocket. You have to kind of be similar to everybody. And so they will oftentimes get chastised for trying to be their own person, and they by default are having to constantly think about how they have to care about what others are thinking, whether it's wearing makeup, whether it's the way that they dress, whether it's the kind of job they go for, whether it's they're going to be a mother who stays home with their kid or a mother who works. It's there's all these things they got to deal with. So to be able to see you be that guy that's just I'm going to be my own man, I'm going to forge my own way, I'm going to be a leader in doing the things that I want to do, that's going to make women be drawn to you as well. And then finally, number 17, because you will never be able to figure them out fully, your love will never come to an end and you will never get bored. And that's where the key is. It's the fact that you don't want women to get bored of you. And this is the trap that a lot of long-term relationships get into, where it's like the woman can predict your every move. She knows what time you're going to wake up, when you're going to sleep, how you're going to say things before you say them. She can darn near finish your sentences. She's going to like just kind of know you so much. She knows the kind of date you're going to take her on. She knows like just how you're going to hug her. She knows the same 4 positions you're going to do in the bed with her. Like all this stuff becomes just so predictable. And so when you're in a long-term relationship, that's why it's important to do things sporadically that aren't of the norm. Like, hey, we go out every Friday. You know what? Let's go out Tuesday. We always go to this taco bar. You know what? Let's go get Chinese. We always, take the kids with us to when we go out of town. Why don't we just take a trip for ourselves this weekend? I've already found a babysitter. I've already done this and that. And it's like, oh, snap. Like, he's continuing to, like, do things and pull things up that I didn't expect him to do. And that keeps a relationship exciting and lively and vibrant and will make her ultimately stay with you long-term. So this is how you can be a positive, mysterious person. Because none of this is saying you want to lie to her or you want to try to treat her bad. It's simply saying that keeping a little mystery about yourself is going to be able to stretch the relationship out in a fun way in the long term versus you trying to do all this stuff and then within the first year it's like, well, we know each other about everything and there's nothing new and I'm not trying to explore any new hobbies or activities and I have nothing new to say, so hope you still like me? Probably not. Now that you've heard from me, I'd like to hear from you. Have you tried acting mysterious before? And if so, what was the result? If you're watching on YouTube, leave your comments below or write me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. Are you ready to learn killer icebreakers that attract women on dating apps? Go to introvertdatingsuccess.com right now to watch my free video training, How to Get Attractive, Feminine, Emotionally Stable Women Dying to Respond to Your First Messages on Dating Apps Without Using Sleazy Pickup Lines. This will give you key secrets to sparking attraction and conversations with women online the smart way. If you like this video, hit that like button, make sure to subscribe, and click the bell icon to be notified about future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.